what's going on, guys? It is Celeb back again for another review. We are right around the corner from July 4th, and I am excited to share that I have been playing Star Fox. We got a little bit of a late code, but we are here to share our opinions. Originally, Star Fox 64 launched back in June of 1997. I was 10 years old, and I'm telling you, I loved that game. It meant so much to me. I played so much of it back in the day, and it was something that was really, honestly, super special to me as a gamer. I played so much of it with my brothers, and I was very excited to see that the game was, of course, coming back in a new form and a new fashion. So the game is only $49.99 on Switch 2. There is a demo available now. If you haven't had a chance to play it, you can check it out. But I've got to say, from what I have played, the game is highly improved and is definitely something that if you are a Star Fox fan or a Nintendo fan, you need to check out. So there's new things that have been added to the game, like a challenge mode and also the ability of doing game share. But you can also play the game in easy difficulty. You can play it with mouse controls. You can play the whole campaign in full co-op. And, of course, the game has full cutscenes in between the missions, which makes the game just more feel cinematic around the entirety of it from start to finish. It feels more like an actual story-based game instead of just challenges or, level-to-level style gameplay that they had in the previous game. So what I do want to talk about is the overall gameplay and graphical update on this game. So gameplay is very smooth. I think that Nintendo did an amazing job on bringing this game to light and showcasing what was really special about Star Fox back in the day. One of the big things, too, with the gameplay implementations that they have changed, first off, it feels super smooth. It feels really easy to pick up. Playing it in handheld mode is really not bad. I usually tend to play most of these games with the Pro controller. I'm a really big fan of the Pro controller for the Nintendo Switch too, and I think that it is definitely something that is. If you're a more of a console-based player for like Xbox and PlayStation, and you pick up the Switch every once in a while like I do, then it may be the right choice for you. But I will say that even using it in handheld mode, it still felt really good to play. I think that there wasn't any times that I felt that the controls or anything were too tough to kind of get a hold of. Kind of like in playing it on Nintendo 64, there was that one analog stick, the little doggle analog stick in the middle of the controller that we could use for steering. So I felt more comfortable playing the game on Switch 2 than I did on Nintendo 64. So, but the gameplay mechanics and stuff that were set up were easy to pick up, and I think my son even is at the point finally of getting used to the controls of the game. He did have somewhat of an issue of kind of just picking it up and understanding that you could do barrel rolls by pushing the two top buttons. You could, push the right D-pad or the up D-pad and make your character actually do like a full somersault or whatever to get some of those enemies off your tail. It was something that was a little hard for him to pick up, but over a short span of time, he was able to learn the controls a little bit more. The main focus on this that I've got to say, if you're a classic gamer, if you're somebody that played the original N64 version of Star Fox, you will instantaneously see such a huge improvement on visuals. Just like when you come into Corneria, the very first mission that you come into, I remember there was always kind of that fog that you would see. I didn't have any gameplay to really showcase, or I would showcase it here, but there was a huge fog. But it was foggy, and it looked like the city had been attacked. But at the same time, like the grass and stuff was real bright, and it didn't really look like anybody was in a lot of trouble, you know, outside of there just being a couple of like robots coming in and taking some buildings down. In Corneria on the 64, you see such a massive improvement of visual fidelity and visual representation of what Andros is doing to Corneria. You see smoke and fire. You see, you know, there's certain areas of Corneria while you're like flying through there, it's actually darker because of all the smoke and stuff in the area. And it just felt like a more cinematic visual representation of what was actually going on in the game, of course. The engine, of course, is very different compared to something that we had back in the 1990s. But I've got to say, I've been really impressed with it. I think the developer was Velan Studios, and it was published by Nintendo. But I've got to say, it is a really amazing experience to see such a visual improvement on such a classic game. Now, what I would like to say is the game identical to what we played on 64? It's pretty close. I mean, it's almost identical. Like, the aspect that it is kind of on the rails and, you know, the layout of the levels, the layout of the enemies. I would say, particularly if you're a seasoned gamer, definitely try to play on the hardest difficulty that you can, because even playing the game on normal, there's a very big possibility you're going to get through this game super quick, you know, and that is one thing that I did notice myself, that I finished the game. I think I finished the overall story of the game in like 2 to 3 hours. So that was somewhat of a letdown, particularly coming from me. I didn't really look a lot into this game or even kind of have it. Like, it was exciting to see that the game was coming out, but the full-on details beforehand and the reveals of Star Fox and all this other stuff, it wasn't really something that I kind of like heavily invested into. Okay, well, this is what I want to know before the game launches. I just kind of wanted to go into it feeling like I did back in the day whenever I played Star Fox for the first time. And I feel like I did. I feel like I had a lot of fun with the game. Now, of course, as I said, there are new implementations. You can play online. You can play the battle mode as well. You can do all different types of stuff in the game. But I will state that the game is very easy to beat, and even though it does have a lot to offer for fans of the series, comparing it to other experiences, if you were to do that, you would probably be a little let down, because the overall story, yes, there are cutscenes that are added, but most of the cutscenes are usually just cutscenes featuring Fox McCloud talking to General Pepper, or talking to Peppy or Slippy or Falco. So it wasn't anything extremely expansive. Now, the introductory cutscenes of you getting into the planet and going into battle, that was something that was really awesome. I think the music of the game was really great. So it did add that cinematic factor that we didn't have in Star Fox 64. Now, what I can say about the game, too, is I could definitely see the game going from this point, hopefully, into a longer series. Now, we have seen other Star Fox games out there that have come out since the original release of Star Fox 64, but I could see this game hopefully turning into something more special, something that is a more annual thing, maybe every 2 to 3 years, having a new Star Fox game that comes out that has new adventures for the Star Fox team. And like I said, I really think that there is some really great elements about this game that make it very enjoyable. Now, if you were really getting this game to just, you know, have something new that you previously didn't have in the last one, you're going to be disappointed, because it is literally just I think it is best to say it is a cut-to-cut remix of the original. And that's not a bad thing. I think it actually is a really good thing, because it preserves what the original felt like for a much younger generation that didn't get to see how special this game was whenever it first released in 1997. So with that, I can state that the game is good. It is fun, and I feel that it is somewhat easy enough for people to pick up that have never played Star Fox before. The overall visual representation in this game is truly breathtaking, and there's a lot of times that when I was playing this game, I was just in shock. Seeing some of the scenes from these planets that I haven't visited since I was 10 years old come to life in a way I'd never seen them before was truly something special. The gameplay mechanics are easy to pick up and just play, but it is something also that you do have to put into mind that the story is very short. The overall aspect of the game from start to finish was really short. Now, you do get to do a kind of a go back to where you can redraw the lines and take different routes and visit different planets that you didn't get to visit on your first run. But that was also the case in the original. There was a lot of things that I, particularly at the age of 10, I was like, I didn't really have a lot of time to do it, but when I did want to do it, the original was hard, bro. It was hard to play the game with that original N64 controller. I'm just going to say. It was a lot more easy to run all the way back through 2 times and really enjoy my experience. Even though I did see some people online saying they didn't like the looks of the Star Fox team, they wanted it to look more like, the Super Mario movie or the Super Mario Galaxy movie version of Star Fox. I really enjoyed what I saw. I thought that the team, the development studio behind this game, really did a great job of representing something special with Star Fox 64. I think that, honestly, Velan Studios did a really great job of showcasing how special that game was for a new generation. So, personally, I think this is a really good game. I think some people might be disappointed that the story is as short as it is. And I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I think that's a good score for this game. I think Star Fox is a really great game for a lot of people to relive their childhood and play as much as possible. I was a little disappointed to not see the iteration of like new levels, new characters, something that is a very new experience, but I guess I can understand why they didn't, because they wanted to have that original kind of feel to the game. But I do want to see this game continue. I want to see more Star Fox out there. I think 4 out of 5 is a really good score for this game. It is definitely something that you need to pick up if you are a fan of the original, but also if you're just trying to have something fun to play with your friends or your family. It is 4-player co-op that you can sit there, or I say 4-player co-op. It is fully co-opable through the campaign. You can game share it with up to 4 people, which is pretty great. And in the battle mode, you can play with all different types of people in the multiplayer aspect. And then the challenge mode is a challenge in itself. To go back through and get all these missions perfect, it is. But the one thing that was a real big downer to me was not seeing anything really new added to the overall level layout of the game. More or less, it was also the fact that the game was very, very short. But with that said, it is still a very enjoyable experience. So we're going to give it a 4 out of 5. Please make sure to check us out at Cinelinks.com for the latest and greatest geek news, movie news, and gaming news. Check back soon for more reviews, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace out.